SmackDown took place tonight in New Orleans, Louisiana, from the Smoothie King Center, and boy, was this a noteworthy show. It all started with last night's news that The Rock was going to appear on SmackDown, and I thought to myself, wow, he might be doing WrestleMania. After watching the show and then his press conference, which I'll touch on briefly at the end of this episode, I thought, yeah, he's definitely going to be at WrestleMania. He's just probably not going to be wrestling. Anyway, the big news, of course, being The Rock was there. The whole show was based around that, and nothing else meant shit. And this was probably the worst SmackDown of the year. This was a horrible show. But, I mean, the big segment, of course, that's what people wanted to see, and that was probably going to be the highest rated show of the year because of that segment for SmackDown. But, yeah, the rest of the show just was horrible, I thought. It's mainly because the Rock segment, all the fans were waiting for that, and it just didn't feel like anything else really had much meaning. It was just all filler, especially being a 3-hour show. It really dragged. But, anyway, let's get into it. We see Tiffany Stratton arriving, Bianca Belair and Naomi, Cody Rhodes arriving, and as Cody's coming, as he's walking down the hallway, he's stopped by Nick Aldis, who tells him that he's now been pulled from the main event, which was supposed to be a 6-man tag team match. He was supposed to team with Damian Priest and Braun Strowman against, well, they don't call him the New Bloodline, Solo's group. And he was pulled from the match by The Rock. So our opening match is Drew McIntyre and Jim Uso. Nobody cares. I mean, nobody cares. The fans don't want it. People just waiting for The Rock. I was not interested. I did not care about this match. I thought for sure Drew was going to win. Jimmy ends up winning a shock victory here, and I thought to myself, why? I mean, Drew is such a better wrestler than Jimmy. He's much higher on the card. Why would he be losing to Jimmy? Jimmy's got nothing. The only thing that's relevant about Jimmy is he's the brother of the guy who's wrestling for the world title. Didn't care. After I matched, Drew beat him up. He hit a Claymore. Nothing to it. I mean, we're not getting this match at Mania or anything, so why did they even do this? They tease tensions between Solo, Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu backstage when they first see him. Solo walks into Jacob in Tama Tonga, and they really are building tensions. Jacob seems dismissive of Solo, and Solo is just totally done, man. I think the guy, as a top guy, his time has passed. He's not that guy. So earlier today showed Carmelo Hayes with The Miz and R-Truth. Truth is going to have a tag match with his partner against Miz and Hayes. We had this Lena Vega video package. It's basically the cyberpunk theme to it with her in there. It was alright. We'll see what they do with her. Miz and Carmelo Hayes took on R-Truth and LA Knight. So what happens here is just a standard match. No one gives a shit. This is the second match in a row where fans just do not give a fuck about this match because everyone's waiting for The Rock. And the match sucks either. I mean, who cares about The Miz? I don't want to watch The Miz in 2025. I'm done with this character. I don't need to see him anymore. I love R-Truth. He's very entertaining. I just don't need to see him in a match, a lengthy match in 2025. Carmelo Hayes, I don't know about. And LA Knight, I wish they were doing more with. He just has nothing to do. Match was nothing. Nakamura attacked LA Knight, and then Miz and Mello get the win with the tag team. Their tag team finisher. It's basically, I don't even know what it's called. It's like Miz or something like launches or pushes you into a code breaker by Mello. It's just awkward. But they got the win. Tiffany Stratton's heading to the ring. We see another video package from Charlotte Flair. We got many video packages of women. We got one for Zelina, one for Charlotte. Later we had one for Alexa. And then we see Tiffany Stratton come to the ring. And this was probably one of her worst moments in her career, unfortunately, because she just cut a terrible promo. It didn't help that she had no reaction from the fans, but that's what's going to happen when you're on a show like this. But man, it was just boring. It was dull. She just had no life in this promo. It was really weird because she's usually pretty good. Here it's just, and I don't know if she's trying to be a babyface. I think that's another problem here with Tiffany Stratton is the fact that she does better as a heel, and having her as a face just doesn't fit. But anyway, she mentioned how everyone says Charlotte is the girl, top girl in NXT or in WWE. I shouldn't have said NXT, but at time I thought right away, no, Rhea surpassed her. Everyone sees Rhea Ripley as the top female star now in 2025. She's totally surpassed Charlotte Flair. I don't know why she'd say that. It didn't make any sense. And she mentioned how Charlotte looked down on her. I just thought this was a horrible promo. Nia comes out. She almost saves Tiffany from herself from this terrible promo. And she says basically that Tiffany won't make it to Mania. You had Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae. So you had Charlotte's music hit early in the match. She joins on commentary. And this was just a boring matchup. It was nothing to... I mean, no one believes Candice has any chance. That's a problem. Tiffany eventually wins, and it just felt like the match went too long even then. Nia attacks Tiffy. Trish comes, makes the save, but then Candice LeRae attacks Trish's knee. Nia then gets the upper hand. She basically puts Trish on top of Tiffy, stacking them, and then she hits an Annihilator, hitting like a double one, crushing them both. Look like shit, by the way, as everything Nia does. Nothing looks good. And the built up to the tag match that no one gives a shit about, Elimination Chamber, and we all know who's going to win that match. I don't know why they have to do it, but anyway. The women, I have to say, they're just not getting the same reaction from the crowd that they were previously in the last several years. I mean, I think the time frame just, I don't know when it was. The last few years, they have lost interest. No one's really getting huge reactions from the fans anymore for the women's side. And, you know, you can say WWE is doing a bad job. Triple H, Paul Levesque is doing a bad job. WWE women deserve better. I've heard that hashtag, I guess it was trending. Well, nothing much. It's not like the Give Divas a Chance hashtag 10 years ago. But it just shows that the women just aren't getting the reactions. And you can blame creative if you want. No one's really killing it. No one's really standing out anymore. And they just aren't the same. I just don't feel like they have the same engagement as they did in several years ago. I think the height of the women's division was probably that first WrestleMania main event. Ever since then, they've had moments. There's obviously Rhea's been great. Bianca's been very good. But I just don't feel... I feel like the last couple years especially, maybe even the last 3 years or so, the women have lost a lot of interest from the fans. Anyway, we see Cody Rhodes walking backstage to the ring. Damian Priest stops him and asks why The Rock got pulled from the match. Cody says he doesn't know. Priest says he's coming for Cody's title, and I thought to myself, yeah, no shit. He can't choose the other title, because it's already been taken. And Jay already chose Gunther, so all Priest can do is choose Cody. It's like, yeah, whatever. Of course he's going to choose Cody. Then he had Braun walking in after Cody left. He congratulates Priest for winning the match last week. Both are fired up to fight them, especially Braun. He wants, obviously, to get revenge on Jacob. He had Braun Strowman interviewing Bianca Belair and Naomi. Naomi was very dismissive of what happened with Jade. It's pretty clear it's probably Naomi, but they could go with Bianca. And they're going to defend their titles on Raw against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And I think there's a good chance we see new champions on Raw. We went to another video package, time of Alexa Bliss, who was not on the show live, but she did do the video, and she mentions how things in her life changed. Obviously, she had a kid. That definitely changes you in the last 2 years, and she's been raising her daughter, and she's been on maternity leave. And she mentions that, however, her life changed. WWE itself didn't really change. It stayed the same. And she brought up how the chamber is her personal playground. They're not getting Goddess. I love the Goddess Alexa Bliss, but very obvious we're going to get the Lily, Wyatt 6 Alexa Bliss. That's what we're getting here. And then she brought up how she won the first Elimination Chamber. That was the Goddess. That wasn't this Alexa Bliss. But in 2018 is when she won the first chamber. Yeah, I definitely feel like the woman had much more momentum than now. I think 2017 through 2019, before the pandemic, around that period was probably when the women are really at their best, I think, on the main roster in terms of depth. Then they had some moments last few years, but I just feel like the last year or two, they just lost so much momentum. And then we had Naomi and Liv Morgan in the match. Everyone was mad about The Rock because he quit. All of Twitter All of them getting so angry at The Rock. The IWC, how dare you? We might not get to see Naomi and Liv Morgan. Almost snored, I'm sorry. Thankfully, the match didn't actually happen. Basically, Liv and Raquel attacked them both. They laid them out. Laying and it sets up the match on Raw, and that's how it really should have been. There's no need to even have a match because there's going to be a winner and a loser. No need. Set up the match, get more heat, and Liv and Raquel just leave Bianca and Naomi laying in the ring because they attacked them before the match. It's called off, and we'll see what happens on Raw. Then we had the Rock's Ford F-150 pull up to the parking lot. Backstage, when we come back, Nikki Aldis is yelling at Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for basically invading SmackDown. But he's the one who booked them. He booked them. Why'd you book these Raw stars? They laugh him off. Chelsea Green walks in and she's upset because she wants to be in the Elimination Chamber. I don't know if she wants to actually be in the match or she wants to be at the Chamber because for Chelsea, it's a homecoming for her because she's Canadian and she wants to be in Toronto. Nick basically says she has a match on SmackDown in Toronto. It's going to be an opponent. He hasn't mentioned who it is. I assume it has to be a name. Probably, I don't know who it would be, but someone noteworthy. And then here it comes. What we've all been waiting for. What we all were expecting to see. This is why we tuned into SmackDown tonight. The Rock comes out. He gets a huge pop. The dead crowd comes to life. This is what they've all been waiting for. He's a super babyface to start. He's doing his catchphrases to finally, and then he announces that WrestleMania 42 will take place in New Orleans, Louisiana, New Orleans, getting its third WrestleMania. And of course, it will take place at the Superdome. The Superdome. Not the Silverdome. That doesn't even exist anymore. But the show, it takes place on April 11th and 12th of 2026. They moved it up a week from where it is this year. That's kind of weird. But, yeah, it's in New Orleans. Everyone knew that, who's following it. That's been out for a few weeks now that they chose New Orleans. New Orleans, I know people complain that it's getting its third WrestleMania in such a short period of time. It's a really good host. It is what it is. Anyway, Rock here, he announced, after his announcement, he's still the face. He's interacting with the crowd, and he starts doing the sing-along. He wants to sing, "When the Saints Go Marching," and the New Orleans Saints song in the city. He starts singing with the crowd, and then he heels on the crowd randomly. He tells them to shut up. It's the final boss, and the fans boo. He's basically just being a heel and a babyface at the same time. It's just so awkward. He then introduces Cody Rhodes, who comes out and gets a big pop from the audience. Fans really like Cody. They're cheering for his name. They're cheering Cody. Rock's basically cheering for him as well. And they basically embrace. And it's so weird because they totally break kayfabe. It was so awkward how they did it. Like, they didn't even try to hide it. They just broke kayfabe. The Rock mentions how he and Cody have become good friends after what happened. Remember The Rock basically tried to kill Cody in the rain in Chicago last year on that Raw? That great Raw, by the way. So much more hype than this year. Remember that? Remember when he did that final boss? What happens when you fuck with the final boss? Remember that? Oh, now they've become good friends. They're drinking tequila together. That's fine. Him whipping Cody's fine with his belt. Him saying all the things about Cody's mom's fine. Not all that happened. But now they're good friends. He's totally broken kayfabe. He mentions how him and Cody have become good friends and their moms are good friends. Rock wants Cody to be his champion. He says he's already the champion of the people. By the way, the people's title's gone instead. When Rock gave it away at Raw 25, why would I say that? At the Raw Netflix show, I've said that was probably the end of the title, and it was. That title is gone. He really wants Cody to be his champion, but Cody says he's the champion of them. But then Rock continues to say that he'll make Cody's life better. He starts bringing up randomly LRMania, who owns the WWE. He owns TKO, which owns WWE. He mentions Nick Khan. They never mention their names ever. He never hear their names. He mentions both of them. And then Cody eventually thinks to himself, Rock just wants the title. But Rock doesn't say that. Rock says he wants a soul. And I thought, okay, maybe we're going to get the match. Rock wants a soul. No. Rock tells Cody to think about it. He'll see him in Toronto. Rock's going to be at the Rogers Center. That'll certainly help ticket sales for the Elimination Chamber, but I thought to myself, okay, Rock and Cody, I thought after this, I thought there's a good chance it could happen. After I saw the press conference, I don't know. Anyway, I'll get to the press conference after. But the segment itself, I mean, Rock just rambled for an hour. I mean, he just kept rambling, kept repeating the same stuff over and over again. Not so much he mentions the final boss. He just repeats like his lines over and over before he gets to the point. And the fans, he kept responding to every single heckle from the fans, which I think the fans do it on purpose now because they know he'll respond. I thought the segment was a mess, but I mean, it built up more intrigue for Elimination Chamber. I want to see Rock and Cody. I really want that match. I don't think we're going to get it. I think Rock's just too busy. I don't think he can risk filming a movie after he just signed this huge deal. Him wrestling, there's a decent chance he can get hurt. And it's not necessarily like he doesn't have the training camp. I think he can do that fine. I think it's just a situation where the filmmakers don't want him to get hurt for the movie. So that's unfortunate. He'll be at WrestleMania. He'll be involved. But yeah, I'll talk more about it when I mention the press conference. Anyway, you had DIY, went from Rock and Cody to DIY. They're cutting a promo, no one gives a shit. They face Pretty Deadly. Street Profits interfere in the match, cause a double disqualification. The Motor City Machine Guns run to fight them off. They get their asses kicked by the Street Profits. They look like complete utter geeks. They are done. They've been buried. They randomly start bringing up the Elimination Chamber from 2010, which took place in New Orleans. And I thought, maybe we'll see that scenario again. Maybe they're trying. Maybe it's an Easter egg. I don't know. I doubt it. Then you had Kevin Owens respond to Sami Zayn. He's standing outside Sami Zayn's home. And all I thought to myself was, I wonder what they had for dinner because Kevin was definitely invited as a guest. Yeah, Kevin. It doesn't work. Him and Sami, this stuff just doesn't work. We all know how good of friends they are. Anyway, main event: Damian Priest and Braun Strowman against Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. Not much of a match here. It was okay. It was a somewhat entertaining. It was easily the best match on the show, but basically Jacob accidentally super kicks Tama Tonga, and then on the outside Jacob and so he's at super Tama. He still accidentally super kicks Solo Sikoa. Then Jacob and Tama get run over by Braun Strowman. Priest hits a Southland Heaven chokeslam onto Solo Sikoa, and that gives him and Braun the win. And that was how the show wrapped up. Now, the press conference, Rock just rambled on. He wasn't bad on it, but like the big thing I noticed was, the big takeaway was he did not, he said that him and Cody can continue with storyline without having a match. He says that wrestling always has to have a payoff as a match, but he says that him and Cody's story can keep going on without a match. And that made me think, wow, that's not going to happen. And the way they're setting it up, I can easily see a situation where someone takes the Rock's offer as a heel and not being Cody, but someone else does, and that basically sets them up. So I don't think Rock and Cody's happening, unfortunately. I would like to see it happen. I want to see it happen, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I think Rock Roman probably one day happens, you just think. But Rock Cody, I wouldn't hold my breath on it. And that was SmackDown overall. I have to say, a boring show for 95%, and the 5% everyone wants to watch, which will be the biggest segment of the year in terms of ratings, turned out to be a fucking weird thing, weird clusterfuck. I don't know what The Rock was doing, and it was just bizarre. But overall, I didn't really enjoy SmackDown at all. But I'm sure New Orleans is happy because they get WrestleMania next year, so that's that. But we'll see what happens. Especially, I think we're all going to focus on what role The Rock has as we continue down on the road to WrestleMania.